Hi and welcome to the channel. My name is Nicole with morningtours.com. Today's video is a sneak peek early spring garden tour. I'm going to talk about the different improvements we've made and some changes that we've done. We've also reset the garden and I'm going to share some goals that we have for the year. So let's go ahead and head over to the kitchen garden and get started. The first space I want to share today on our tour is my kitchen cottage garden. This is a newer space that I started implementing about 3 years ago. Slowly each year I've added a new raised bed, and the goal is to keep adding raised beds until I feel like I have enough. So this year, or last fall I should say, I added this bigger bed right over here, and I did share that in one of my fall garden cleanup videos. I will link that in the description box below, but the plan is to kind of sit tight with these beds. I have 5 total, including a cold frame, and up here my goal is to plant vegetables and some flowers, but things that I can immediately pick from the vine, bring into the kitchen and process it or use it for cooking. So my plan is to plant things like tomatoes, green beans, zucchini, possibly peppers, basil, and lettuce. And we are going to implement some flowers as well, just because it's the first thing you see when you come up the driveway, and I do like adding flowers just to add that little touch of beauty that just brings such a nice element to the space. A few other long-term goals for this space is to move the wood pile that you see behind me. We have a new location for that. And then I think eventually my plan is to gravel this in so that way there's no grass to walk on, and I may fence it in with a white picket fence. Now that I've shown you the kitchen garden, let's head down to the big garden and talk about our plans there. Behind me here is the main garden. It's the garden that you probably see the most on my videos, and if you missed the fall cleanup videos from last fall, I will link them in the description box below, but I talked a lot about how we had to reset the garden. I like to implement the back to eating garden method, and last year the weeds got out of control, and it was mainly because we did not mulch the garden like you're supposed to. We missed a couple years in there, and so the weeds just became really difficult to deal with. I don't like to spray in the gardens because we eat the food, so I try to avoid using sprays. So we started resetting the garden. So last fall we covered the garden with plastic to help kill off some of the weeds. This spring we removed the plastic, and my husband went through with a shovel and just turned the soil, exposing all the weeds' roots to the sun. We let those roots dry out for a couple of days, and then the kids and I went through and tried to pull as many of those roots out that we possibly could. Did we get them all? No, definitely not, but we did our best and we tried. So once we got all those roots out, or as much as we could, we put a new layer of fresh, rich soil down to help add in some more nutrition, and then we covered that with a thick layer of mulch, and it's completely done. I'm way ahead of schedule, and I have to give a lot of credit to my husband. He really helped me out. So we're pretty much ready for planting. In fact, we've already planted some sunflowers on this end right here. The garlic is doing amazing. It looks really healthy, so I'll be excited to see how that turns out this summer. But beyond that, this garden space is mainly going to become what I call my food storage garden. So I'm planning on growing things here that are low maintenance and that we would put up in storage. So things like garlic, potatoes, pumpkins, squash, cucumbers, which I use cucumbers to make relish. And then I may add in some zucchini down here if I run out of space up at the kitchen garden. So that's kind of my plan for here. I want to keep it pretty minimal. I'm not going to grow a huge variety. I'm just going to grow large quantities of a specific set of vegetables. But I'm really excited about this space. And then I think as far as color goes, I am going to add an arbor to the entrance and grow some flowers up just to provide some color. I have a friend who's really introduced me to the world of flowers. I used to always just grow vegetables or whatever you could eat, but I'm finding that flowers just really provide just this extra element of beauty that really, I think, it just brings joy to this space. So I'm trying to add a little bit more of that in. So now that we've discussed the big garden, let's go ahead and head over to the orchard. Our orchard is doing amazing. The trees survived winter, although we did have a very mild winter, but the trees did start to bud, and then we got a big snow. I mean, it wasn't super big, but we did get a snow, and thankfully they did survive. They still have their buds on. They're doing great. We did have to add some reinforcement with the fencing. We had some groundhogs over the winter try to get under the fence, and some of them did do some damage to one of the tree's bases. But overall, it looks like they're doing great. And we're actually adding some more trees, which I'll be sharing in an upcoming video. But if you missed our orchard series, I will link that in the description box below. We ordered 3 new apple trees, and I originally was going to put them over with the other ones, but we decided to put one on each end of our berry patch, just to kind of, I think the eventual plan is to fill in this space along the garden and meet up with the orchard on the other side, creating kind of an L shape. That's just how we're having to arrange it based on our yard. But I think it's going to turn out really well, and it'll be nice to look at these on the front porch as we're sitting there drinking our coffee or tea or whatever. It'd be nice to just kind of look out and see the apple trees in the garden and the berry patch, which is where we'll head out next. So far, the berry patch is doing great. As you can see behind me, my elderberries are budding and they're doing very well. I gained some new knowledge on pruning the elderberries. I used to prune them every late fall to early winter, but this year I did not do that because I learned some new information. So I'm going to try it out first before I share it, but we did not prune them. So we're going to see and gauge how they do this summer, if they produce more berries or less, and go from there. The only other thing I added to the berry patch is we added a row of blackberry bushes. I had a friend give us some starts off of their plants, and so far they're doing well. I had a deer eat one of them, but it's actually coming back. So I had to reinforce some fencing around those just to protect them, and then I did add 2 raspberry plants. So we'll be excited to see how those do this summer. So just to wrap up on the garden tour and our goals, we have the kitchen garden where I want to plant things that we can immediately harvest and process in the kitchen. My main garden down here is mainly for food storage, and then we're having some fun with the orchard and the berry patch. My biggest goal this year is to really enjoy the process of gardening and not get super stressed out or overwhelmed about it. In the past, I was always trying to grow as much food as I possibly could so I could put as much food in storage as I possibly could. And this year, I really want to just slow down and just enjoy it, enjoy the process. So my vegetable list is very simple this year. I'm not going to grow a huge variety, but I want to do really well and take really good care of what I am growing. I would love to hear what your garden goals are for this year. You can let us know in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you found it inspiring and encouraging. I hope you're excited and getting into your gardens and starting to dig in the dirt and plan things and even plant some things depending on where you live. You can head over to morningchores.com. There's all kinds of gardening information as well as animal husbandry, sustainable living, and much more. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on the next one.